That was a sort of surreal experience. They're like, do I come out now?
Yep.
Do I wait? Do I wait? But
Yep.
then you told me when to come out, and it was...
You've done this before. You've been on stage.
Once or twice.
I saw you on stage at South by Southwest.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that was. I mean, you were in your element for that one. That was a room full of developers. That's what you do. That's what a developer advocate does.
I talk a lot to developers. That is what I do. I mean, the slightly longer description is that Glass is a platform, right? Beyond just a device that people can buy and use, it's made for other people to build upon and extend and make personal for everybody else that's using it. And I help those people build those things.
That seems to be, I don't want to say confusion, but and going back to this speech that you gave, this presentation that you gave at South by Southwest, there was you opened it up to a Q&A, and at the end somebody, so basically said something along the lines of, we've seen all these demos today. Nothing that I've seen today, in my opinion, is is going to convince me to spend the the $1,500 for Glass. I mean, how do you? Are you guys doing a good enough job explaining what this means to have hardware as a platform?
I hope that we are, and I hope to do better over time. But it's an interesting point that you bring up, that when we did that talk at South by Southwest, I unveiled a couple of our partners that we were working with, and since then there's been a lot more innovation on the Glass platform. And that's what's really exciting for us, is both the things that people are building that we expect them to build, and the stuff that surprises us. And when you think about it, when you as a consumer, when you use a new piece of technology, you're purchasing not just the device, but everything that comes with it. So like with my phone, like I'm glad that I have Gmail on there, and that's fantastic, but I also play Candy Crush quite a bit, right? And so platform is important when it comes to why users will buy Glass. And I think one of the reasons we did the Explore program was so people could test Glass and give us their feedback, but also so developers could get their hands on it early and start playing with what are the things that they could build on Glass. Because it turns out to be a pretty substantial question.
I mean, that's bottom line for hardware that everybody wants to know right now. That's the kind of buzzword every time a new device is unveiled is what is the killer app? Is there right now in these very early stages, is there a killer app for Google Glass?
Well, I think there's a killer category of apps, and I'll give you two specific examples as well. The category is glassware, which is what we call apps for Glass. Glassware that helps technology get out of the user's way, but is there whenever they want it. Right? And that's sort of a design philosophy for Glass itself, but it can permeate the platform as well, like glassware built for it. An example is Kitch Me. It was just released on the My Glass store a short while ago, and you can install it on Glass and send recipes to yourself, so that when you're at the store, you got sort of your ingredients list. You can purchase those things, but then when you get back to the kitchen, you've got a sort of a hands-free way to navigate that recipe, so you don't get flour all over your keyboard. It seems like kind of a simple thing, but for those of you who try and take your laptop into the kitchen right next to the cutting board and you get garlic all over it, it's a very frustrating experience. Like, why does technology need to enter into our way in that manner? And I think Glass can do a quite a bit better of a job than that.
That's kind of the interesting paradox here is a device that's literally on your face, but meant to keep technology out of the way, right?
It seems sort of ironic that by bringing technology closer, you can get more out of the way, which is something Sergey Brin said a while back. But it's totally that. And if I may, who in the audience has actually tried on Glass? I see an Explorer or two out there, so a few of you.
The people with Glass on their face, it looks like.
And quite a few of you haven't tried it, and that's a difficulty, because to really sort of understand Glass, seeing it across the room is one thing, but trying Glass on will really teach you a lot about how the technology works and what it's meant for. So just a simple thing, you'll notice that it's not in my line of sight. Like there's nothing between my eyes and your eyes if we're making eye contact. However, it's always in my field of view, which means it's never in the way, but it's always there when I want it. So interestingly enough, by placing this, by placing Glass on my head, I no longer have to like take my phone out of my pocket and unlock it, and now I'm like looking down here in a situation instead of sort of looking at the world around me or the people next to me.
So as an advocate and as everybody working on the glass team, I think this is going to be the most difficult thing moving ahead for you guys. I mean, obviously, you've done a lot of the hardware. You're doing a really good job working with developers right now. You're pushing forward on that. But how do you get it on people's faces? You do the Explorer program. That's initially limited to people at I/O. You're opening up a little bit, but is this something that potentially, if this does become a public hardware device, that am I going to be able to walk into a Best Buy and try a pair on?
I mean, I don't know. I can't sort of speculate on how we'll roll it out in the future, but we do want to get glass in more people's hands. And I think we do that in a number of ways right now. We do a lot of demos. We go a lot of places and help people try glass for the first time. And also we do sell a lot of glass, both to the explorers that were originally in the Explorer program, but also the expansion. So they've invited a lot of friends along with them, and we've sold more glass. And the goal is to make it more available so that those who want glass can get glass.
Do you foresee it being difficult? There's such an excitement the first time people, obviously the first time you guys rolled it out, there was that demo, there was skydiving, all of that excitement. And we're still at a point, maybe outside of certain districts in San Francisco and the Chelsea market in New York, where people are still excited, very excited when they see it out there. Do you think it's going to be difficult to keep that excitement up, that once the initial novelty of it's gone away?
It's interesting that you bring this up. I was just talking with some of my coworkers this morning that even now when I walk around, say, San Francisco with the Sky glass on, it's very noticeable, and people will stop me and ask me about glass, and it's very exciting for me because that doesn't usually happen to me otherwise. I'm not really a celebrity, but for a moment I feel like one, and if we do our jobs right, that's going to go away, which is sort of an awkward position to be in. But I think that's. At the same time, we sell more glass and more people have glass, and it might be a little bit less of that celebrity status. But when people buy glass, they typically wear glass and they use glass, and they're continually excited about how it affects their daily life and the new things that come out for glass over time. There's a couple things that sort of keep up the momentum. We do monthly software releases, and a lot of that's based on our feedback from the Explorer program and just improvements to the product. And also, third parties are building software on the platform and releasing that for glass as well. So in a way, even though you just bought glass, it's still continually exciting to see all that new stuff.
What surprising lessons have you guys learned from the Explorer program? I mean, it's one thing having this top secret project that people in Mountain View are walking around with. It's another thing to have people all over the world using it. I mean, is there anything? Let's start with hardware. Is there anything it's kind of surprising that you've learned on the hardware side?
Yeah, there's a few things. For example, we knew that prescription lenses were going to be important, that people would want them.
There's going to be a lot of nerds with Google Glass on.
Well, and a lot of people that have reading glasses.
Nerds, like I said.
So I think one of the things that got confirmed in the Explorer program is just how large that demand was. Not just because people were asking for it, but people have actually built hardware with 3D printers to attach glass to their glasses. So that's been pretty interesting. But then there's other, I guess you could call it hardware. There's one guy out there that's doing skins for glass so that people can kind of personalize glass even more. And it becomes more of an expression of their style, which I think is interesting too.
And you're the software guy. I mean, is there anything it's been fairly limited development wise. You've more fully opened up the SDK in the last week or so, right?
Well, we've started talking about the GDK a little bit more, and I can talk a little bit more about that in a moment if you like.
But it was kind of the straight Android development platform ahead of that.
Well, so no, what we released before was the Google Mirror API, which is a RESTful web-based API, which for those who aren't developers in the audience, it's essentially web programming, building kind of the back end of web pages, but that communicates with Google servers.
Sort of like developing an app in HTML5?
Yeah, it's not too dissimilar. And what you get from that is you can write in any language you want. So PHP, Python, Java, Perl even. And then you just communicate to Google servers over the web protocol, HTTP. And with that, you can build a glassware in probably a couple hours if you know the system well and you understand web technology really well. And it gives you access to like common infrastructure and services like sync. You don't have to rewrite that. Now the GDK, on the other hand,